I'd like to welcome you to our Lionesses Memorial AstroTurf two-piece. It's quite scratchy, but it's like
something just bit me.
Surprisingly comfortable for a lawn couch. I'm really kind of impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't look, I just feel so sorry for you. You don't look like you got the energy to be
No, I'm fine.
This is
Hi.
Jeena. Yeah, Jeena, you're here to do a show, but did someone just say you've just arrived?
I just arrived literally like 10 hours ago from a 19-hour flight from LA.
Can somebody get this woman a cup of tea?
Nobody told me. I'm here. I'm ready to rock this though. We're gonna do it.
Okay, we're rocking.
Yes.
So, Jeena, and you're... let's go from the end.
All right, from the end.
How long has it been?
From the end. You call me the end.
The end.
The end.
Definitely there's a hint of the Eddie Izzard in
Do you know, I grew my hair especially for you to be able to see that.
Thank you very much.
There you go. See, that's
so if
how
I just
friendly we are.
occasionally call you Susie, no,
I don't mind.
how long has it been
Since we've
we
seen
saw?
it.
Oh, ages.
Well, no, you did the podcast.
Oh, I did the
You did
podcast, that's right.
Scared the
But,
crap out of...
mainly Lynn Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen,
Hiya.
and anything in between, over and above and whatever. And on the other end, Martha McBrier, who I was just reading on this very website, Entertainment Now, was the first 5-star comic on the Free Fringe.
Yes.
Can I just ask, as a matter of interest, who was the perspicacious and extremely articulate reviewer who gave you that 5 stars?
Some women. Now, I want to say Copping. I can't remember.
I wonder where
she's nobody anyway.
I wonder where she is now, and if she knows the effect that she's had on comedy at the Fringe. It was a total shambles, that show, but it was wonderful.
Because it was a shambles? What did you like about it?
What I loved about it, well, it's one of the, because I don't know what we're calling them, webisodes, chat show-isodes, whatever.
I think it's a woodland clearing.
It's a woodland clearing.
Fairies clearing.
And yeah, so each little chat, because I love a theme. I love a theme more than a ramble. So the theme of this is storytellers,
right?
Really, because you are Mrs. Storyteller, as Martha refers to you. And until kind of I listened to you, and also the way Martha's career has developed, I always thought that people going, yes, I'm a comedian, but it's storytelling comedian. That basically just meant I don't have enough jokes to do proper stand-up, so I
think it is that there is a problem. I'm with my fellow storytellers, right? That I have an issue with the word storytelling. I do. Well, only because if someone says they're a professional storyteller, then I'm like, well, I'm a professional mouth breather. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, aren't we all like telling stories all the time? But there is a style of comedy that's storytelling, which is, and I suppose, like it was Ronnie Corbett used to do it in the wee chair, right?
Yes.
Over here, you won't know who Ronnie Corbett is. Even if you didn't have jet lag, you still probably wouldn't know, but you should know.
So many names and accents I'm hearing today for the first time.
But there's a style of it, and I like what I really like about storytelling, when it's not like I'm a storyteller, I'm a professional storyteller, is it requires the person to be more honest and to be more present. I know that's a bit of an American word, right? But
yeah, it is.
Right, sorry about that.
You've got 3 strikes with the Americanism.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Right, if you attempt to diarise anything, you're out that door. Where does your storytelling sit in? Because she ruined my career. Early on, when she was very young, she was part of a duo called the Alexander Sisters, and any time I went for a gig I was part of a double act. It was the Alexander Sisters got it. So I'm barely able to disguise my loathing here.
I have noticed that over the years. When we have been drinking in bars together, I have noticed, Copstick, that it's been all about the loathing.
But from that and stand-up and everything, were you always a teller of tales, and then it kind of became... Because now, it just seems everyone at the Fringe is obsessed with just one thing, and that's themselves.
Yeah.
So it will be, I've no talent, I have no aptitude for comedy, but I do have an ADHD diagnosis, and I think I might be non-binary.
One too many Ds, but yeah.
So here's an hour about my life and how knowing that I have my own flag brought joy.
I tell you why I like storytelling, right? Here's my big bag about it. Because I trained as an actor, right? You don't have to curtsy, but I did.
Can we hear your Shakespeare piece?
Yeah, no, but it's funny because I was doing my take yesterday, right? And there's always that bit when you're taking your show where you're all vulnerable, right? When you go, I wish I'd done something else. I wish I'd done something else. I was sitting at the back and my assistant said to me, "You okay?" And I said, "No, I've made a really bad decision." And she said, "What?" And I said, what I should have done is I should have just done all of my Shakespeare sonnets. Because then I could have done a whole hour going, well, Shakespeare sonnet, and then you couldn't really, argue with the writing.
It's working for Ian McKellen down the road.
There you go. But what I like about storytelling and why I got into it is I always hated shows or plays where it was like carriage clock stuff, or there'd be a lamp or something and you have to pretend you're in Victorian England. And I'd be like, but we're not in Victorian England and that person there can see me, and if they stood up, they could probably prod me, right? So I want things to be present. And so even with stand-up, even when I did plays, I would always do a break in the middle where there would be something where I would bring in the audience. Because I want it to be present. So storytelling, why I like it, is I think that it's about being honest in the moment. I don't really like storytelling. In fact, I do in Storyland have a professional storytelling area. Because I don't really like...
With a big chair and a book?
No, it's a microphone stand and a solid light so that everything that's said under the microphone stand, a solid light, is worthy. Because that's what I don't like with storytelling, where I go like that. Look, just because you can say something doesn't mean it's interesting, right? It's like juggling. Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's interesting. And storytelling definitely can get into there.
I mean, you... First 5-star... show and it was just going back to that, it was shambolic. It was in the basement of a hotel down off Leith Walk, and there weren't very many of us. It wasn't crowded, there was room to move around in the audience, and I didn't even realise it was Martha's show. There was just this lovely wee woman stood at the door apologising for the late start, and I mean, was that the show, or did you just do whatever came up your hump?
Well, I started off and I thought I had a show. And I'd done the show, and some women stopped me one night and they kept interrupting. They were interrupting the whole night. And I thought, this isn't going well. But they said to me later, "We're lesbians." And I said, "Well, I'm happy for all of you." And she said, "Would you like some advice?" And I said, "No,
some lesbian advice.
I would not like any advice at all." And she went, "Stop trying to be funny and just be yourself, because your banter's funny, but you see those jokes," and she done jokes, right? Jokes, they're not funny. And I said, "Okay, so have you got any actual advice, or were you just being unkind?" But I thought to myself, do you know what have I got to lose? And then I was told this night, everything was running late, and I was told, "Listen, there's this reviewer, she's the scariest woman on planet Earth, within, a kind of 7 billion mile radius. She hates women. She's going to hate you. It's over."
Also, she's blonde.
And I thought, oh no. And somebody said to me, "I think she thinks you think you're attractive." And I thought, I never said that. Because it was called Sex Kitten.
Sex.
Slash corpse.
Sex Kitten Corpse. Gotcha.
So, you know,
Okay.
I felt I straddled.
It's a balance.
Between being a small feline and a dead person.
Yes.
It's a good combination if you can pull it off.
It's a look.
5 stars. 5 stars. There you go. Yeah. Absolutely. 5 stars. I give it 5 stars.
You
I
see?
did. But you were always a storyteller. But in that real Scottish way, I think, especially the working classes, there's always, that reminds me of, or my Auntie Jeena used to, and it's what you were saying, it's natural,
It's honest. If you think about what comedy is, right, before we go all glossy, right, but the comedy from your court, here's me bringing up Shakespeare just to remind you that I went to drama school, right?
Very Shakespearean.
Right? No, but if you think of all the Shakespeare bits and all that, they would have the jester coming in, the court jester would come in to comment on what life was, right? To comment on the situation. Comedy was meant to be there to make a comment on the establishment. And even when I was working in late night in America, part of the deal of writing jokes is you aim to hit the higher-ups in order to show things, right? That's what comedy is. But as comedy became more just like rhythm, because by the end, for me with stand-up, I would go, I was so bored with it, and I would go, right, my job tonight is that I'm going to do sentences, and at the end of my sentences, I'll leave a wee gap.
And then you're going to laugh.
And you laugh in the gap. And you could do 20 minutes just doing that, because people will do it. I think with storytelling and the move back to it is back to this thing about talking about what life is, right? Like making a comment on what things are. Like even that stuff of you go like, 2 lesbians gave me the best advice, and you go, right, like, look to the 2 lesbians for guidance.
And lesbians are notorious for a complete lack of humour about anything at all.
Also, lesbians love to give advice. It's their favorite thing to do.
Are you speaking from experience?
I've dated some lesbians that gave me nothing but advice.
Was any good to you?
Oh yeah, there was good advice. I have a very nice vegetable garden. Got a lot of advice on that.
Is that some kind of double entendre?
No.
You must come down and see my vegetable garden.
It is
because lesbian intimate talk is. Back to your vegetable garden.
No, they love to give advice. I'm a queer lady. I date whatever, and lesbians give advice, and men give advice. Like straight men also give advice, but it's always bad. So that's the difference. Yeah.
Do you regard with the homecoming queen?
Yeah.
Do you regard that as storytelling, stand-up, what?
So I'm a stand-up by trade, and that's what I met Lynn when I was doing stand-up. And the thing, you just said it, really like that's it. That's all stand-up is. You tell the audience when to laugh by just cadencing. So I had done this story show that was running for a long time in LA. It stopped after the pandemic, but it was called Sit and Spin. And I was developing a story for that based on my own life. And it got a really solid response based on the people that were doing it. And some folks said you should talk to Lynn Ferguson about bringing that little 7-8 minute story to a full hour, because they said there was enough. And I was like, yeah.
Now you see, that would ring alarm bells for me.
Why?
Because you get a lot of that here, speaking as a reviewer who occasionally hands out 5-star reviews. There are a lot of people in Edinburgh who basically have 7 or 8 minutes of good material, and they're not doing a 1-hour show. So how do you?
So the story was very efficiently there's like a whole lifetime of story based in that little story, that little 7 or 8 minutes. So Lynn and I, we developed this show over like 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And she just sort of pulled out other stories that I didn't even know if they were related to what I was talking about. We just sat across from each other in her little parlor with her dog hiding under the desk, yeah. And she would just ask me questions about my life, and then I would just go on for like 5 or 10 minutes and just develop the stories from there. And I ended up with maybe 160 pages.
Okay, that'll do. Yeah.
So then it became about taking all of that and turning that into like a 35-page script. So
wow.
There was that.
Do you bounce, because Martha's other half is Matt Price, who's a phenomenal comic as well, and I watched him do stand up, and he was good.
Yeah.
But then he kind of started doing more story-led stuff, and it was phenomenal. So, do you two sit at home at other ends of either side of the table with a wee dog in between
And a spotlight,
and
dark, a lamp.
and bounce things off each other? If you're obviously your partner, so you bounce various things off each other.
We don't, but sometimes I tell him something and he'll be amused and he'll laugh and he'll go, that's really good, you should do that.
Right.
And that's when I think that might work as a kind of story. And I haven't got anywhere near what you have. I think I have 160 words.
Right. But are they funny words?
Are they?
Some of them really are.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I mean, because it's all about spaces in between as well, isn't it?
There's
The
some
words.
spaces.
The words. Yeah.
But this
Lots
is
of
the thing
space.
about
Laughter space.
Yeah.
You see, if somebody's funny enough, 160 words is enough. Because the audience are falling off their chairs laughing.
Yeah. I remember a male comic who shall remain nameless. And you know how sometimes men get quite competitive. Do you want to know how many jokes I've got a minute and all that?
Yeah.
The jokes per minute,
This guy says to me, he was kind of pacing up and down. He said, I've got 4 jokes a minute. And I said, well, I've only got 2 in my entire set, but they're fucking funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't like all that, but at the same time, I don't like the pejorative term. You're a storyteller, you're not funny.
Yes. Sorry, that was just
Funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of which, now, the 3 have been sitting with your arses tickled by AstroTurf.
Yes.
For the full 20 minutes that we're allotted for the probing and the whatnot.
Probing and tickling.
So now you get to plug your shows.
Okay.
Right? So we start, which way do you want to go? Do you want to...
Her storytelling should start
Oh, bless you, right. So I'm doing a podcast, but that's 3 days. You know, I'm doing the podcast.
The podcast is brilliant.
Ferguson Harrington Hawks, and that is on at the Gilded Balloon, 17th, 18th and 19th at the Museum of Scotland. But the one for this is Storyland, which is on from the 20th to the 28th, I think. The National Museum of Scotland at 12:30. So
And you've got like loads of starry guests.
I've got really starry guests. I'm not even I'm a little frightened of my guests. Right? No, I'm a little frightened because they're important and all that. And then they're like, yeah, no, they are important people.
Who are you most frightened of?
I can't tell you because I don't think I'm most frightened of Karen Corn, really, in the whole world.
Incredible woman. Now there's a woman with stories to tell.
So, but it's Karen Corn's baby, Storyland. So she's got all the booking and all that stuff happening.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hi.
So, hi. Yeah. I tell you something. You're brightening up a bit. I think the jet lag
is breaking. Hi, yes. My show, Jeena Bloom, the Homecoming Queen, is my first time at the Fringe, by the way. Debut. Yes, love me, please. It is 3:15 every day at the Gilded Balloon Sportsman. The entire run of the Fringe, so starting tomorrow the 3rd, all the way through the 28th.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
That's
the whole run.
Good time though. Just obviously, as your first time at the Fringe, it is traditional to constantly ply reviewers with gifts, food, drink, anything.
Okay.
So
constantly.
Yeah, you could start that from tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll maybe come and hover outside the balloon.
The flying shall begin soon.
Yeah. It doesn't work with all reviewers, but it works a treat with Copstick.
Oh, beautiful. Right? How do you think she got her 5 stars? So, Mrs. Queen of the Free Fringe, tell us about this year's show.
But this year's show is on 4:30 of the PM from the 4th till the 20-somethingth of August, and it's in the Dragonfly.
Oh, that's a lovely venue.
I'm the mother of insects. And it's funny storytelling. There's some dark bits, I'm not going to lie to you. But they're funny.
Funny dark.
Yeah.
Funny dark.
Funny dark. Funny American.
Just
Funny story.
spotty.
A bit scary as well.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm scary as?
No, I think what you've just said your guests are.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
So that would be, I don't know, I can see your show. I've got a thing this year, I'm not reviewing anybody with a ticket price over £10 because I'm like that.
Ooh.
But what I'm going to do is actually pay for a ticket and come and see, because I'm desperate to see Homecoming Queen. It's wonderful. Because this is the first time I've met you, because you're Lynn's friend. Thank you very much for coming and getting your bum skirted.
Thanks
by
for skirting it.
And good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Ora best.
Yeah.
ORB, as we say in Glasgow. Ora best.